In a recent interview over on the Need to Know podcast, Ross Coulthart discusses the Tic Tac UFO, in which he makes the claim that the Tic Tac is actually man-made by the company Lockheed Martin.
Echo 6-1 Tango Logic, over.
Oh, got it! Woohoo!
Roger, there's troubleshooting. She needs like
Did you box moving target?
602.
No, I took an auto track. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at
As we close this out, this thing you just said about Lockheed Martin, is this the first time you've said that in public, or have you said that before?
Look, there's been speculation for a while that it's Lockheed Martin, but I'm now very, very sure that it was Lockheed Martin.
Okay, well, I know we're going to be hearing more from you.
I think the Tic Tac is part of at least two different platforms that Lockheed's been working on, different platforms that they've been working on. And it's technology that until very recently, most of Congress was completely unaware of.
Although this has kind of been making little ripples in the YouTube podcast kind of community, this news actually is not new. It's quite an old information. Stephen Greer has been talking about this for literally years, not just in the Jesse Michaels interview from a couple of months ago, but literally years he's been saying this. I'm going to play you a clip of Stephen Greer that maybe you didn't see, that was filmed 2 years ago, where he discusses the Tic Tac in a little bit more depth and the history of it.
Oh, got it! Woohoo!
Roger.
Now, of course, this has been called an unknown UAP, what have you. We can excuse the Pentagon and most of the military and the White House and the Congress for not knowing what this is, because the operations that have been building these are deep black illegal, and they are not disclosing it properly to the authorities in our constitutional democracy and republic. This is based on a sighting of a group of people. Is basically the same object in the 1960s, 1967. Let's go to the next slide. And it's sort of a sketch here, the so-called vintage steam boiler. These have been seen in multiple places around since the 1950s and 60s. Next. Here's one that's a very good color illustration of it. Notice the probes on it. Extraterrestrial vehicles do not have those. These electrostatic discharge objects. We're not going to get into all the physics of this. Our team understands it, and we're welcome to share that in a longer brief with media folks. And here's the 2004 off the coast of San Diego Tic Tac. It's fundamentally the same object. Next. And here it is. We have a top secret whistleblower came forward a few months ago in 1991, so now we're talking quite some time ago, way before the 2004 event, that is offloading off a C-130, one of these UAPs, but it's actually a man-made one, and here you have the color illustration. This man is very afraid to come forward. He was warned not to, and at one point was told he would be, quote, executed. Next. So here's what we need to go through very quickly. It's a lot to unpack. This is not intended to be, we just did a 2-day conference right next door. The media are welcome to get that entire event with all the details for you if you wish to have it, or people get it to you. But basically there are two types of these so-called UAPs, and I've said this. Some are extraterrestrial vehicles, ETVs, and some are ATs or ARVs, advanced reproduction vehicles or alien reproduction vehicles. People use different terms. The extraterrestrial groups are absolutely not hostile. However, screaming caps, they are increasingly concerned about human hostility and our weapon systems, which include nuclear and scalar, the so-called, Dr. Zahari shared this weekend, about what scalar electromagnetic fields are. But just to give you a sense of it, you all know what an electromagnetic pulse is. That's at the speed of light. The scalar systems are, instead of a wave, is a point that goes out longitudinally. Some call them longitudinal waves. These have been studied. Tesla talked about scalar systems. They have been weaponized, and those are the primary systems used to target and hit these electromagnetic field propulsion craft that cause them to fall like a rock out of the sky. You do not travel from another star system and cannot navigate a thunderstorm in New Mexico. That ain't gonna happen.
One of the arguments I saw within the comment sections on these videos was the idea that it can't possibly be Lockheed Martin's technology because the sightings go back to the 1960s. However, Greer covers that the early iterations do indeed go back to the 60s, and that from the 60s onwards, 70s, 80s, 90s, they've kept making new iterations, new advancements. If we take into consideration the rumours of Lockheed not just having material from a down saucer, but they literally have an intact, working, physical, full-on alien vehicle, an alien UFO they've had for many, many years. They have been working on back engineering it. If that is true, which seems to be the case from different sources, we can assume that maybe some progress or breakthroughs were made in which they've created derived technology from what they've learned from studying the extraterrestrial craft, that they can then create some kind of offshoot technology from it, which could be things like the Tic Tac. We often hear the idea that insider information is given to particular people, influential people, that can kind of include some relative truth within certain parts of media, including film. If we take that into consideration, we can look at the Steven Spielberg film from 1977, A Close Encounter of the Third Kind, in which at the point where the military are waiting for an encounter with aliens and UFOs, what do we see plastered right in front of us? We see crates with the Lockheed logo on. This film came out in 77, so even in the mid-70s it was widely regarded or known about on the inside that Lockheed was indeed involved or related closely with the alien UFO phenomena. What's hard to make sense of is that if it's true that Lockheed has developed this level of technology from which this Tic Tac can go from 80,000 feet to sea level in less than a second, that kind of rate of speed, that kind of technology is world changing. It's extremely dangerous in the wrong hands. They could get to China within a handful of seconds or minutes, presumably. It's just insane that a private company can wield that level of power and responsibility and not have any kind of governmental oversight or control by the president or by the Congress. And if people are aware that Lockheed has this technology, why does no one go in to say, hey, what are you doing with it? How is this not in control? It's extremely dangerous for that to happen, I think, to be so out of control where it's not governed and not known about, and we have no idea what they're doing with it. If they've had technology like the Tic Tac going back more than 50 years, they must be doing something with it. They have to be using it somehow. What are they using it for? So that part of the story is kind of hard to wrap your mind around, how that they could keep it secret for 50, 60 years, and also, well, what the hell are they doing with it if they do actually have it? An interesting kind of side note here is that Lockheed Martin was in the running to create and make the new next generation fighter plane, which will be called the F-47. However, they lost the contract to Boeing, and now Boeing is going to make it. But if Lockheed has advanced alien technology and Tic Tacs that can go insanely fast, how are they losing contracts to other companies? How are they not winning every single contract with the kind of technological capability they've got in their back pockets? It seems a little bit absurd. Another confusing point is that if Lockheed has been sitting on this kind of level of technology for 50 years, Why are we still spending billions of dollars on rocket technology and rocket fuel and programs like SpaceX and NASA? Why are they still being developed when we've already got this kind of technology? The only kind of conclusions you can come to are kind of two that I can think of. Is one is that they don't want to upset the balance of the economy of the world because it runs on fossil fuel and oil, and so they're keeping out of it, and it's basically kept separate and hidden for that reason, because it would make oil, gas technologies kind of obsolete, which would be very upsetting for the people that have the most power and the most money in the world, because they tend to be related to oil. The other thing is the idea of this kind of breakaway civilization. It's a part of the human race that has developed this kind of technology, which is far surpassed the rest of mankind, and yet it's completely hidden from the rest of society and the rest of the human race, and only a very small number of humans have insight or insider knowledge on it, or know that of its existence. This idea of breakaway civilization is also not new and goes back quite a way. But these are the only two kind of possibilities that come to my mind of why it's not kind of, it doesn't seem to be benefiting humanity in any way to keep this secret. We don't know what they're doing with it. We've got literally no idea. I don't think we'll ever get any answers from Lockheed personally. I don't see it happening. At the moment, it is pure speculation. I think the only way that this is going to get settled if somehow Lockheed kind of admits it in some way, which is extremely unlikely, or there is some kind of a leak in which a photograph or a video comes from within inside Lockheed showing a Tic Tac within their kind of, testing range or facility. Both seem extremely unlikely, so I don't think we're going to get any answers. I thought it was an interesting discussion to go through the ideas of this. If you have any thoughts about the Tic Tac and whether it could be Lockheed's or not, please let me know in the comments. I will see you again with another video. Have a good day, and goodbye.
Obviously, the ET craft do exist. Something had to build them, so there must be aliens. And since there are and the craft are there must be some sort of factory and an entire civilization somewhere.